Final word daily. Nothing makes sense in this competition. It's all brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. We've had a shock result in the first semi-final of the Women's World Cup, and Daniel Norcross is going to tell you all about it in 30 seconds.
System error, cannot compute. I thought we had enough runs. No, you didn't, did you? Oh, yeah. Oh, tap it around a bit, you'll be absolutely fine. Well, here's something you might need to know. When you've got 9 batters, try using them. 134 for 5? What kind of a score was that? And then, do you know, when you need to stop singles, don't leave enormous gaps everywhere, because other people other than you can be quite good at cricket. South Africa thrash Australia by 8 wickets with about 3 overs to spare. Bish, bash, Annika Bosh.
Why aren't people trying to score runs?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
You WhatsApp me that precise thing.
We've watched the last 2 matches we've seen at this ground. We've seen 2 shock results where England have been battered by West Indies because England got 140 and went, that'll be enough. And the West Indies went, no, we're just going to whack it. And then the exact same match has just played out again, only to a more severe degree. I think we've got to start with Annika Bosh. Her career best performance. She's got 72 or 48 or something ridiculous. And she's taken the piss out of the Aussies. There was a moment in this chase where I went from being, oh, this could get a bit tense. Can South Africa hold on to being like, oh no, they're pissing it. They're going to win. And she reverse lapped one of the seamers over short third. It went away for 2. She did it again later for 4. I was like, this isn't a chase where it's being nervy and might go to the end. They're winning this, and they're winning this right now.
I know what you mean. It was the 5 boundaries in 5 balls that changed everything. From a runner ball to they're pissing it.
There was one of my favourite. I'm going to be honest. These stats turn me on a little bit.
Oh yeah.
23 consecutive scoring shots.
Oh yeah, that is quite.
Oh my God! In a context of this, where we're chasing 140, it's remarkable. Right, we're going to go in 2 halves. We're going to go Australia losing it, South Africa winning it. We're going to start with a bit of Australia winning it as the biggest yellow fire truck goes past us. 8-year-old Cameron, very excited by that. 29-year-old, also quite excited. We were just talking about this on the way down. You made the point, and I was happy that we agreed. You thought South Africa's best chance is if Australia bat first.
Correct.
And my thought process is, I completely agree, because Australia know they are pound for pound the best team in this competition, and they know that they can score 1 more run than whoever their opponents are. Unfortunately, when they bat first, they don't know what that number of runs has to be. And as it happens, 134 was not anywhere nearly enough of them.
No, and I think everyone's got spooked in this competition. The more coaches you've got, I don't know, is it partly that? Because we started this competition with really low scores, and women's cricket has been getting higher and higher scores, more and more boundaries. Australia hit 11 boundaries today. The other day they hit 14 fours and a 6, and England had hit 14 fours a day before, and it's just not enough. It's not enough for normal women's T20 cricket. So we've been watching all this going, well, maybe the pitch is a bit grabby. It might actually be that, in fairness and with all due respect to Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Scotland, those teams were never going to score a lot of runs. And because they didn't score a lot of runs, everybody thought there weren't a lot of runs to be scored, including, bizarrely, the players out there who could have scored loads of runs. The only 3 teams who have worked out that you could score lots of runs are New Zealand, who scored 160 of them against India.
Yeah.
The West Indies, who marmalised England's bowling attack with an extraordinary 60-odd runs in the first 5 overs of the innings. And South Africa, when faced with even at the halfway stage, I thought 135 doesn't feel like a lot. I did.
It didn't feel like a lot. I think we walked out to defend it.
I expected Australia to win because we expect Australia to win all the time. You thought, Megan Shoot's going to bowl 2 overs. Take 1 for 3. One of the Saffers is going to get out. They're going to get completely spooked by the fact that they could do it. They're going to get behind the rate. Well, they didn't. They had 2 overs where they had a look. And then Wolfhart and Brits did the Wolfhart Brits thing, batted really well together before Brits got out. And then Bosh came and Boshed it. And all of this just made Australia's batting ploy look absurd. I mean, at the halfway stage of the Australian innings, they hadn't got 60, had they? They were under 5 and over. They were about 54 or something. And like I said right at the beginning, And I've said time and time again in this tournament, they go into each match with 9 bowlers and 9 batters.
I was getting
And
so
Megan
angry.
Shute and Darcy Brown are the only 2 that don't really bat. Megan Shute's not that bad. When you've got Sophie Molyneux at 9, you've got Annabelle Sutherland at 8, unused. Phoebe Litchfield came out and showed exactly what you're supposed to do. You know, she struck 3 boundaries in almost as many balls.
Yep.
I said, well, yeah, what's the big problem?
This
I
is
don't
it.
understand. I don't understand.
This is exactly it. So with 4 overs to go, Australia were on 96. Australia got 40 runs off their last 4 overs. And it's not just a case of this match, but across a theme of cricket where a late flurry of runs gives, in theory, hope to the team batting first.
Oh yeah, no
And
momentum.
actually, it's often the sign of like their death now, where it's like, oh no, you can score runs.
Yeah,
it is possible.
yeah.
Phoebe Litchfield came out and belted her first ball for 4 through the covers.
For sure.
And you're like, oh, my Australia win vis percentage in my heart went down then. So I went, so it's fine. You can play. And then they sneak themselves up to 136. And then you give yourself such a small margin for error when you're defending a total like that. So for instance, Shute nicked off one of the batters and it ran away for 4. And you go, that's quite a lot of the percentage of the runs you're defending. You can't afford for that to happen too often. And I must admit,
Just like England, actually.
Yeah,
where they lost against the West Indies, and you could tell they'd lost in the first 2 overs because suddenly you're going, oh yeah, people can actually score boundaries here after all.
and I saw Kiana Joseph in the hotel today.
Yeah.
It was very exciting. I was like, oh, that's the superstar.
Was she teeing off again?
She was just swinging at everything, just knocking vases over. I'm quite frustrated at Australia because I think this is the first day ever that I think I wanted them to win.
Oh,
And I've got a reason for that.
okay.
So they'd won me over.
Yes.
I fundamentally and to my core hate teams that win.
Yeah, of course.
I am a natural born loser. That's where my affinities lie. I support QPR in football. I support Scotland in rugby. I like teams that fail. That's where I relate. That's where I resonate. That's where I get attached to the emotional trauma of it all.
Yeah.
And I went, you know what? These guys, Australia, they're the best. And I think they deserve to win. And it's amazing that this team is setting the benchmark for
Yes.
the sport across the globe, driving standards, hammering home, showing everyone else how good you can and should be. They should win, and they should keep winning and keep proving that point.
Yeah.
Fucking
See
lost.
what you mean?
Straight
Yes,
away.
well, do you know, I have a lot of sympathy with that because, as you know, we spend a lot of time in the hotel because too lazy to go anywhere else. And you see these incredible specimens and you see the dedication they put in. I mean, the gym is absolutely full of them all the time. I make them sound like they're just robots, but
No, but they are, that's the point. They're meant to be robots.
Yeah, they are. I saw Elise Perry wanted to take her bike up to her bedroom. They're like, what's she going to do? Just go around in her sleep, just keep on cycling. And she hates to be still for any length of time, you know. But like a shark, exactly, with one eye open. So I have a lot of sympathy with what you're saying there because I have a huge amount of admiration for the way they play the game. They are magnificent physical specimens. They're dedicated to what they do, and they are an object lesson to us all. But they are that other thing as well, which is I'm slightly concerned that they're a bit programmed. And it all comes down to them batting first. It just does. I think if they bowled first, it would have been harder for South Africa. They'd have had to show complete fearlessness in batting first, which is a difficult thing to do in a semi-final. Although, actually, looking at the way South Africa approached the chase, it was noticeable that they just went, right, if we're going to beat the best, we've got to just go for it. You know, this is our moment. So maybe if they batted first, they would have set a high target. But had they set 160, 170, you just get the feeling that with the resources Australia have got, you know, somebody would have played the big innings. I do think that Litchfield is criminally underused. She's the most naturally gifted ball striker in that team. She's just brilliant to watch, and she's not a finisher. I mean, I would open with her and I would let her. Just all 3. I mean, I think the experiment of sending Georgia Wareham
this can get in the bin.
So silly.
It's so
silly.
But it also doesn't make sense in the context of how they then play the rest of their cricket.
That's right. Yeah.
Because the sending up Wareham at 3 is a recognition that wickets aren't that valuable, that you can take risks, that you can keep going, that you can keep pushing forward. And they go, whoa, well, we tried that.
Yeah.
Let's stop that.
And then Perry came in and dotted up for a while. I mean, she caught up a touch towards the very end, but they caught up, as you said, Cam, by getting 40 in the last 4 overs. The damage is done. I mean, as I was looking at that, I was thinking the whole time at the start of their innings, 150 is going to be bloody hard for South Africa. I mean, as it turned out, I think they would probably have got 150 as well because they had 8 wickets, 3 overs to spare.
Mate.
I know, but 150 I thought was what surely they're going to be targeting, but they never really looked like they were. And then as it counted down, the overs kept counting down one or the other, and you're going, to get 150, they need 12 and over now.
Yeah.
Now that didn't mean that 12 and over wasn't gettable, but it meant, come on then, is this over? And when you're looking at South Africa's resources, they've got in Ayabonga Kaka and Marizan Khan and Nonkululeko Malaba, 3 really good bowlers. So, and I'm not saying the other bowlers aren't good, but you're then going, well, if Tryon is on, we have to go after her. We've got wickets in hand. You have to risk that for the biscuit, haven't you? When Sune Lease came on, no disrespect to Sune Lease, but she was a bit of a yippy leg spinner. Now she's a very mundane off spinner. Did they attack her? She bowled 2 overs for 12 or something. I mean, that is criminal. When the players you've got, that is criminal. And Annabelle Sutherland, unused. I'm sorry to keep going on about it, because what we're doing is, we're not talking about South Africa. Hopefully we will in a minute talk about South Africa, but I suppose in trying to understand how Australia managed to take 9 batters and 9 bowlers and turn it into 4 batters and 4 bowlers.
They've sunk.
And why is Darcy Brown in the team? No disrespect, Darcy, a lovely woman, but Alana King. The pitch turned. These pitches have been crying out for Alana King. If you're scared that these are low-scoring games played on spinny tracks, and you've got Alana King waiting there in the wings, play Alana King.
Sorry, sir. Do you need to get in here?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll move. We'll move.
Sorry.
No, we've got another 10 minutes. Come.
Yeah, no, we'll go.
This is
way.
live action.
Yeah,
we are getting quite dark now. It's fine.
Thank you.
We've got a bit dark.
It's fine. It's fine. We can be dark. We can't make people wait.
No,
for
we
stuff.
can't make people wait.
Yes, just my final thoughts on that. It feels all a little bit England men's 2014 white ball setup, where it's like, or the 2015 World Cup. They go, well, the data showed that 280 would be enough.
That's right.
It's like Sri Lanka got it 1 down. 1 down. I was there at that game. Right. We've done the Australia losing section. Let's do the South Africa winning.
Wow.
Because they were on. Marizan Kat was she's so scary. I'm only quite catching up to that now.
Really?
Like, I knew that was always her reputation, and I'd seen it and glimpse it. But then the bit today where she runs out Beth Mooney, and she.
Oh yeah.
And like in her follow through, gets it, just completes the run out, and she doesn't celebrate. She just walks back to the mark. She's so angry, and it's shown on the big screen. Because of her reaction, all the other fielders are like, "Oh, that's not out."
I think she was half wondering whether it was a good idea to get Beth Mooney out as well. Because Beth
blocking
Mooney had
it.
got about 32 off 33.
But then she goes back to her mark, and because she's back at her mark, none of the other fielders are like, this is obviously out. Marizan doesn't know, and then it's shown it's out, and it's like, here we go. Brought Phoebe Litchfield in. Wrong idea. I think that's what happened. But anyway, South Africa just wax lyrical for me. They've made it to a second consecutive World Cup for the nation as a whole, but final, sorry. For the nation as a whole, it's 3 consecutive T20 World Cup semi-finals, 2 from the women, 1 from the men. It is, aside from their loss against England, they've been superb throughout. They're looking well. They're 1 game away from winning it, aren't they?
They look absolutely brilliant. They look absolutely brilliant, but they are, as we mentioned earlier, one of 3 teams who've actually tried to score runs, and there are 2 more to come. We're going to see them in Sharjah tomorrow. Well, I mean, look, let's start with the fact that they're an incredible outfit that have been put together, a very diverse outfit brought together from different parts of South Africa. It's quite wonderful to watch. Players that, were never playing cricket until relatively recently. Tasmin Brits nearly died in a car crash, a former javelin thrower. You're very welcome. And she's become a star at the top of the order so quickly. They've developed that talent. Nonkululeko Mlaba, I mean, where's she come from? She's just a joy to watch. She turned the ball today, and she varied her pace. She varied where she bowled it, and she kept the Aussies guessing all the time. Really, apart from Litchfield, there was no one who was regularly hitting boundaries. I think Australia had 5 boundaries in the first 12 overs, something of that magnitude. Part of that was a lack of ambition, but another part of it was really good bowling. Ayabonga Kaka hitting her Yorkers at the death when the pressure was really on, and it was noticeable when the batters went after England's bowlers early on against the West Indies. England's bowlers rather crumbled. You look at how Ayabonga Kaka held up with the teeth of the gale force wind that was Phoebe Litchfield. She just stuck to her guns, just put it out there, nailed the Yorkers. Only once did she miss it. That went for 4, the others didn't. She didn't go for 14 or 15 off the over. She went for like 8. Marizanne Cap, so combative right at the start, such a kind of talismanic figure. That's the bowling lineup. And then they burgled a bunch of overs. I mean, Anna Kabosh, she bowled 2 overs, and it's one of the most brave things you're ever going to do is bowl back of the hand slower balls to the Australian middle order when they've got no choice but to swing for the hills.
Okay.
To hold your guts and do that is pretty amazing. You got 2 overs out of her. They got a few overs out of Tryon. They got a couple of overs out of Elise. Mentioned that already. But then they go out and bat. And this is the point at which you think, right, are you going to do that really annoying thing where you're going to give yourself a platform and be 53 for none or 53 for 1 after 10 overs and go, look, no, we can do this, we can catch up. Not a bit of it. Tasman Brits teed off from the very beginning. Wolfar didn't go aerial particularly. She went 1 over the infield that only went for a couple of runs, but for the most part, she was just striking the gaps while Brits was trying to strike the boundaries. Then Bosch came in, heart sank a bit because she'd scored 54 runs at 18, a strike rate of 83. What are you doing here? Well, what the hell did we know? She looked like the best batter in the entire World Cup. She struck it so cleanly. There was that point when there was a runner ball needed off 61 needed off 60, and you thought, again, Australia pick up a wicket and then pick up another, add 2 to the score, and then, you know, in all fairness, you're down to Tryon and Lisa, who are experienced players, but are they going to be able to withstand a squeeze? If Australia bring their field in, have a close short mid-wicket, have a close short extra cover, which incidentally Australia never did at any point. All their fielders just stayed on the edge of the ring for some insane reason, even though it was getting, the equation was getting fewer runs to balls. But there was that period when you were worried and thought,
Yeah.
the squeeze could be on. They went 4, 6, 4, 4, 4 across 5 balls. It was, and that blew the game. That was it. The game was up. And at that point, they then did actually mostly hit singles, but Bosch still had license to have a wallop. And then when the second wicket went down, this was an indicator of their mindset. They didn't send in Marizanne Cap. They sent in the slogger Chloe Tryon.
Nice.
When they needed 15, 16, right?
Just keep
to
going.
go, just get this done quickly, girls.
Keep trying to score runs. Great idea. Unbelievable
It keeps
idea.
coming back to that, doesn't it?
Right, so we're going to go to a break. We're going to have the Hall of Fame on the other side. Daniel's wonderful ad read will be back in 2 seconds.
Oh.
Final Word Daily.
Keep talking.
Brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. Daniel's just loading his phone up. It's a very leisurely, having a lovely, peaceful time at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. He's ready to go.
In a huge shift from the norm, Australia are not in a World Cup final. This Christmas, do you want to continue the trend and change up the mundane gift of stocks in the Christmas stocking? Why not an early Christmas present this December of an Ambassador Cruise Line's Cricket Legends cruise? Shake off the December drudgery with the vigour of Keir Starmer at a pop concert by embarking on 7 nights of wintry fun, all whilst being entertained by West End style shows, high quality meals, and stopping off in what has become my favourite towns in Europe. In no particular order, Amsterdam, Antwerp, Rouen, and Honfleur. Not forgetting our esteemed guests of honour, kings of the microphone Jonathan Agnew and Henry Blofeld, and legends of the pitch Graham Gooch and Alex Tudor. All this at the ridiculously generous starting price of £559 per person, and that's before you get 10% off because you listen to us. It's incredibly easy. Just visit ambassadorcruiseline.com and pop in
Final Word 10.
That's final word 10, final word 10 at checkout, and you'll be sailing away beating the winter blues. It's in the show notes, check it out. Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December.
Wonderful read, wonderful glasses, technique for those watching on YouTube. It was a little flick down onto the nose. Final Word Hall of Fame. We're gonna mix it up a little bit today. I just want to put out a little prediction, or just want to get some of your thoughts. So
yes.
I think, obviously we have South Africa as the finalists. We're going to have South Africa, West Indies, or New Zealand as a winner. If New Zealand beat the West Indies tomorrow, we'll officially have a new T20 World Cup winner, because there'll be.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Neither of those teams have ever won it before. We've only had England, Australia, and the West Indies winning it.
Yeah.
I think South Africa beat New Zealand. It was a South Africa-New Zealand final, and I think that and then I can't call a South Africa-West Indies final. No. Despite the fact it was a 10-wicket win, I think West Indies have completely overhauled the way they're playing, and I just want you to give a 30-second summation of what you think the next period of the tournament's going to be.
I think, weirdly, that New Zealand are going to win.
What?
Yeah, I think they're going to win the semi-final. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think they're going to beat the West Indies because it's Sharjah, and I haven't
I
seen
think
the
that brings.
West
I
Indies.
think that brings the Wendy's into it more.
Well,
Slower,
because
lower.
yeah, well they've got that differentiating factor. I don't know. Do you know? I just don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. I've given up predicting. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, the West Indies are winning, but it's probably going to be New Zealand. But it might. Well, it's probably going to be the West Indies. But yeah, it's probably New Zealand.
Right.
But I reckon whoever. I think South Africa have got it.
Yeah.
I think South Africa have got it. I
What
think
story?
for a start, they are the only unchanged team in the entire tournament.
Nice.
They
Settled.
know exactly what it is they're doing. Annika Bosch has now scored runs and is full of confidence. I think it's theirs. And finally, a South African team might win a World Cup.
I will piss myself if after all this time the final is South Africa Windies 170 plays 170.
Wouldn't it be great?
People
Yeah.
just go, just tee off, lads.
Yeah.
I'm going to sneak in our final word of my Hall of Fame of mine just to finish off.
Yeah.
Poor England, John Lewis or Heather Knight or any of that team getting off the plane that they got on today, finding out that South Africa beat Australia, and they've missed out on an opportunity to win a World Cup where they didn't have to play India or Australia. Tough. Right, it's been the Final Word Daily. Tomorrow's the second semi-final. Today was the first semi-final. It's been brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. We'll see you and speak to you again then.
So much fun, I tell you.